How has Israel become a center for online gaming technology, techniques, and companies?
We have something that in Hebrew or in English we call it chutzpah or chutzpah. Depends on if you want to say it in Yiddish or in English or chutzpah.
Yeah.
That's what we have, you know. Jewish likes to look at themselves, especially the Israeli guys, as Israeli Jewish, as guys who have this. I don't know how you can translate it, but it's something that we're very assertive, and we like to invent the wheel from the start. I think that something that happened here in Israel is that in Israel you never had a real B2C industry of gaming. You could not have or gamble in a casino if you want to do it legally. And even the illegal casinos, it's not something that was very, very big here in Israel. So I think what happened is that people studied computer science, people studied economics, people went and learned business administration, and people, the same people who went outside and sold in shopping malls skincare products, and then they came back to Israel and sold gaming products. And they did it very successfully. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And here we are.
Did it come as a result of the high-tech revolution in Israel?
It comes together. And it's nice to speak about, the high-tech revolution and companies like Waze, companies like Mobileye, Datorama, Klarna, who had a very nice development center here in Israel, and we were taking care of all their legal affairs until they exited Israel recently, but from a good reason, actually. I can tell you, these are only one part of the high-tech. It's like the high-tech that most of the, let's say, newspapers cover. But high-tech is another place. High-tech is also gaming and also crypto and CFDs, adult entertainment, installers, cybersecurity companies. This is another side of the high tech, which is not really covered by the press, and not really, you won't see most of these companies listed. You might see, I don't know, in the AIM or the LSE, you can see some companies from that genre. But most of that companies, if they are, coming from Israel, they're not listed. They're operated by a few guys, probably my age or even younger, and these companies are fully legit. They pay their taxes in Israel, and they're cash cows, and that's nice. And that's things that you can find mainly in Israel.
Yeah, but aren't many of these companies registered offshore?
Some of these companies have to be registered offshore, because if you're a company that are dealing with online gaming, these activities are highly regulated, okay? You cannot operate a B2C company without being heavily licensed. So the mine and management can be in Israel, the mine and management can be in Cyprus or in UK. You can have a full office based outside of Israel, but at the end of the day, the guys who are there behind the steering wheels can be living in Hampstead, in London, but there will be Jewish people having the same culture like they're sitting here in Tel Aviv.
Which is largely entrepreneurial.
Very entrepreneurial, very, very high-tech. I think that the high-tech revolution comes together with, let's say, the financial entertainment revolution, and many of it's from Israel. I think that Israel is not only a startup hub and a startup nation, it's also a forex hub, it's a crypto hub, it's a gaming hub. If you go, and we were now, with my team last week in the affiliate conference, the Lisbon affiliate conference, a large conference. I think that a part of English, you would hear much more Hebrew than actually Portuguese or Spanish. And we're speaking about Lisbon, it's Europe. So Israel has a large influence of our industry.
Of the gaming industry.
Of the gaming industry.
Yeah. Now, it started as an industry that was unregulated, offshore.
Not necessarily. People think that it was started exactly as you said, unregulated offshore, but even this unregulation wasn't really unregulated. It was, let's say, lightly regulated. People were buying $4,000 a license in Costa Rica, which is actually called a license to transmit data over this internet. So this $4,000 license is something that is, let's say, one of the first licenses ever for licensing gaming. And it was a plain piece of paper, but it was a license. So the thing started there. Things started in Antigua. There was, offices, and there are people stemming from companies that then would become and evolve to become Playtech or groups. Started in Antigua. People went there to do some surfing and enjoy the beach. And there are people who, for doing relocation 3 or 4 years to live in Antigua. There are lots of culture of people back then for 15 years ago. I started 15 years ago. I studied computer science and I studied law. And I was quite confused after I finished my first degree. Where would I go? Because on one side I'm a computer scientist, the other side I like people and I like legal work. So I thought of how can you do it. It's part also of luck and belief. We believe that everything is from above. Is that something directed us into that. And I had the luck of working with, let's say, one or few of the most famous entrepreneurs that by now they're holding listed companies all around the world. Some of them working with us already for 15 years. So it's funny because you see these people, they're entrepreneurs. Some of them are software developers, some of them are experts in artificial intelligence, some of them are experts in marketing, but all of them are enjoying what they do and enjoy this challenge. There are companies that do automatic retention and AI and making sure that the clients will be satisfied and making sure that the tech support will work correctly. All of them are either working here from Israel or working and have that chutzpah somewhere else.
Mm-hmm.